Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. On today's episode, we're going to talk about work life balance. And I just said this to my staff earlier. I'm not really good at this. But in today's 50-minute episode, I will talk to you guys what I have learned about work life balance and how it can revolutionize your kitchen or your life. As I said, something I had to learn the hard way because for me, that's a constant thing I'm working on. And because I believe that working 100 hours a week is the path to culinary or business success. And I'm here to challenge that math today. So when you or your team find balance, your business, your kitchen, whatever it is, runs smoother. I honestly believe it runs more creatively, it blossoms, and morality soars. So that's what we will cover today. I want to talk a little bit about work-life balance and how it matters a lot more than you think. Strategic shifts, how you can use a real balance on what you need to do. I want to talk about practical, repeatable habits that maintain your balance. Something I'm working on is building a kitchen culture that supports everybody's well-being. If it's a kitchen culture or work culture, you can live this in there. And then finally, I want to have a quick real-world example of balance transforming. And it's not just a balance transforming, it's more of a balance transforming performance. So if you have 15 minutes, then stay with me. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And on Mondays, we do an episode with some really amazing people we bring in. And on Friday, I'm going on a rant on the things I learned. And this week, it was work-life balance because my wife always tells me I'm terrible at it. And I know I am. I always remember, for me, I look at my business as weeks. Okay. And it's probably not a good thing. And for you too, you probably juggle 3 dinner service. You have 2 pop-ups. You write an ebook. All of the things you have to do in a week. But what makes my daily wake-up call? Hey, how about if I stay burned out? My kitchen and my staff will suffer. And for me, that's one of the most important things because balance is a luxury. And it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And for me, I'm a good example because when you are well rested and you mentally sharp, you're participating issues before they're blowing up. I honestly believe a clear mind is a creative solution. Short staffing, whatever is going on, is an opportunity to teach junior cooks new skills. We just talked about this last week. And it's not a nightmare to survive. Because for me, that was the hardest thing. Don't let that bring you down because impacts of that on quality and consistency is majorly important. Because a fatigue chef, misjudges doneness. They burn sauces. They cut corners. The ingredients are not what it works. And then they drink unhealthy drinks, energy drinks and other things. And for me, they do things they're not proud of. Because repeating those mistakes lead to higher food costs and inconsistent plates and inconsistent service. That's for me not acceptable because at the end of the day, it's about retention and morale. You probably asking why? Because a kitchen that demands you to be there 78 hours a week, okay? You need to make sure that the people in your care are being taken care of, that you take care of your clients, that the contrast of you and your brigade can play variations depending on You need to do family events. You need to see your spouse for dinner. You need to return to do something else energized. It's absolutely amazing of what tugs on not just you, but who you are as a person. Because work life balance doesn't mean you need to slack off somewhere. It means that you are fueling your best work. Because two chefs, or if you sleep enough, if you eat well, and that all stuff is what happens outside the kitchen, can actually do more and have you do better. And for me, that was one of the things I've learned, and the people which follow us here on this show know I had a stem cell stroke back in Thanksgiving of last year. My thing was exactly what I'm talking about. Traveled out in Salt Lake City. Was out there for 4 days. Probably slept 10 hours to 4 days. Everything I planned went wrong. My flight back was a mess. And for me, that little incident changed everything. Because for me, it's one of those things. I used to think a chef doesn't have a day off, no expectations, you know? But now we block our calendar. As soon as a week is finalized, we start on working on next week's. We usually work 3 to 6 weeks out. We enforce boundaries because we eat as a family here or as a team. We do family meal all the time. And for me, the reason that works is if we sit down and eat together for an hour, if I take 15, 20-minute breaks, it will reset you. It will give you clear decision-making skills, and your brain does need downtime. And it was for me one of those things I had to learn the hard way. And for you in the kitchen, that's why we want you to train and cross-train your staff. For not just cross-training for efficiency sake, it's also to have reliable backup. Train your trusted sous chef or senior chef, whoever you have, on the dishes which are important to your facility for your process. It's really, really important. And then for me, documentation. Create a chef's playbook. There used to be this thing, and it was called Red. It was called Kitchen Journal. And you could write in what happened the day before, what were some of the proteins which sold really well, what was the weather, what was key equipment doing, and all the stuff. I think we need to do this more often because I honestly believe the reason that stuff works, because when you write things down, you don't need to think about it. And your team knows exactly what to do and how they can unplug and move away from anxiety. I honestly believe we need to take advantage of technology and automated resources or automated repetitive tasks because things are getting so much better. Digital ordering schedules. For me, it's one of the must-haves. A reminder of critical check-ins. We used to call it the 5-minute check-in, so we called it Take 5 in our kitchens, where everybody took 5 minutes, looked around, hey, what are you working on? What are you working on? How can I help? That kind of stuff. And the reason those little things work, because automating small tasks and talking to your staff like that frees up mental bandwidth. And it's not relying on memory, because I used to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and saying, oh my God, I forgot this. Because balance honestly begins when you start treating your time off with the same respect as when you look at when you're busy. No phone calls, no last minute changes. Because your absence shouldn't, have a cascading effect of what you do. Because for me, a really good restaurant is when they have amazing services for chef days or not. How often have you been to a place and you ask for the chef and he's not there? And from there is we need to build practical habits, not just to maintain the balance. And I'm one of those guys, I don't really believe in balance because you just need to measure it another way. The word balance for me, it just triggers me the wrong way. And maybe that's my thing. Because for me, more important is a morning routine. Set aside the 5 minute things we talked about. And when you write things down in the little kitchen journal is what is my top priority of the day? What is one potential things we could go wrong? Or what is a stressor I can anticipate? And how will I handle when any of these arise? And the reason why this works is a ritual shift, whatever you want to call it, can move you from reactive to proactive. Sometimes by naming those little incidents will happen at the beginning of the day, you kind of laugh it off, give it a funny name. I used to do midday check-ins, and for me, we blocked off a few minutes. Around two, we did it, and we called it the two for two. And it was right after two. It was one of those things where the rush kind of winds out from lunch is a great way of doing this before people go to family meal. And then also what I learned from one of my clients is she called it a quick body scan. That was for me was unbelievable. So she said, hey, your jaw needs to relax. What is the tension you have in your shoulders? Hey, what is your heart rate? I never looked at that stuff. It was unbelievable because those little micro actions, you drink a full glass of water, not something energy, and I'm from Austria, so, we want you to drink Red Bull, but don't, because if you sleep enough, you don't need that. You need to stretch your neck or you step outside and just breathe when you're outside. And the reason all of those things works because we sometimes ignore the basics. We're going hours without hydration. We go hours without a break. We go hours without doing anything. And then we don't really have a reset button. And we talk about the end of the day ritual. And for me, that's probably the biggest needle mover because if you write down one or two lessons, one or two wins of the day, even if it makes you laugh, it's amazing. If you change your clothes, because for me, listen, that was the simplest thing we learned was the staff when we were done and when we were hanging out and have a drink or something or just checked in, as to say, everybody go change. Because when people change in their personal clothes, it takes some of the pressure off. And it's really, really important. And then also plan the next day in advance. Block off time on your calendar. And then you fill in the work. And the reason some of those things work, or all of them work, because there's a very clear separation between work and life, because it drains your brain and it gets you into overdrive. Because for me, I was sitting at home and saying, oh, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do this. By writing things down, it kind of frees up your mind. I honestly, even now here, I have a few journals around here and be doing a lot of those. Small habit choices make a huge impact. And if you do them a few times a day or over weeks, it becomes a natural planning thing and it will make you feel, and I know it's going to make you feel so much better, but it makes you feel efficient and it takes stuff off your brain. Because if you have that model, and we talk a lot about communication, if you're the chef, you need to lead by example. You need to announce off hours. And the reason that is important because it enforces boundaries. The signal of an entire brigade can pretend on that. Nobody gets labeled a slacker because we working as a team. And then personal time, honor personal time from anybody. And then also offer mental wellness days or mental health days or mental half days, or give somebody $50 for a gift card for an extra shift they did. All of those things work because time off is what you want. It really does wonders. And for me, it took me a long time to realize that. And then I also be talking a lot about that cross shift communications, because handoff notes, and that's why I like that kitchen journal so much, because having a handoff note from the morning crew to the afternoon crew is, hey, if they know we got this done, This is what we prepped. This is what the menu changes. This is what some potential hiccups are. They can get ready for that. And when you share this on a digital board, or maybe you should even call it a balance board, where staff can post events, and where they can say, for an example, hey team, it's Sunday. Hey, my daughter is off. I'm not here, whatever you want to write on that. Then the whole kitchen can work around that. Because for me, when things not work, I can and go down. And the reason we have create on here, because we create in conversation. And when things don't work, I know is that there was a communication breakdown. How often do you realize when something happens that if I would have communicated the right way, it wouldn't have happened? And then for me, I have this case study. Let's call him Miguel. He used to work. I had a different name, but he was one of our key employees. He worked all the time. He had 30, 40 hours overtime a week. And, every time you seen him, he looked, exhausted. He was short with people. He had tickets, came in late. He burned sauces, and he snapped constantly people when they said something to him. So for me, as we sat him down and said, hey, I understand that, overtime is important to you, but this is not a good thing for you. As we forced him the first time to take 2 days off, it was amazing when he came in. He looked like a total different guy. He really, he came back rejuvenated, And over the next week, by the way, ticket times improved by almost 15%. He offered 2 new menu items on the menu because his mind was fresh and he had some new ideas. And the coolest thing about it was the lineup, flowed so much smoother on the line because he made less mistakes. And that for me was a big one. So sometimes when somebody works 30 hours overtime all week, we want to give it to him all the time because he shows up all the time. But what we don't look at is what does it do to his world? What does he help? What does he do for his well-being? And when we talk about this work-life importance, as leaders, we need to commit to balance. We need to commit to performance. We need to commit to make magic happen. And the 2 days off of Miguel, I'm telling you, he accelerated. Our team was more creative and more efficient. And we found a way to compensate him on the side because we knew he did those 30 hours because he needed the money. And sometimes when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So let me ask you a few questions as we explore to wrap up the day session. Why work-life balance is a strategic advantage? Let me know that. It's not a luxury, by the way. It's a strategic advantage. What are 3 concrete strategies you can implement, like days off, cross-training, whatever you want to do? What are some daily habits you could encourage your staff to do? Morning routine, a mindset ritual, midday check-in, end of the day transition, whatever you want to do. How can you build a balance or a culture of balance? Where you model boundaries, where you incentivize personal time, and where you foster transparent scheduling. For me, that's really important. And finally is give us a real world example of what you went through on the comments below. Let us know, what is your go-to? How do you manage work-life balance? And as I said in the beginning, this is a work in progress for me because I did not do a good job in this. I'm getting better at it. But I want you to think about that. Think about a weekly planner. And if you need a planner, let us know below. We have a planner, which I think is one of the best planners out there because I took planner things from different things and made it my own. It's absolutely amazing. If you need one, let us know. We're more than happy to send you one. And then have a cross-training checklist, because that can really ensure that you have a really reliable backup. And then let me know your ritual tracker. What do you do in the morning? What do you do middays? What do you do in the evenings? Because for me, this is all about new habits. Maybe you schedule it in the way we do: a 5-minute morning routine, a 10-minute midday check in, a 5-minute evening ritual. Because I honestly believe the road to balance is journey. It is a journey. And we are all in it together, if you like it or not. So with that, thanks for listening. Remember that you balance your life. You balance your life outside of the kitchen. You not just do that, you bring your best self to it. And that changes everything we do. And I appreciate you being here on this beautiful Friday. And hopefully there was some value in for you. And let me know what resonated with you and what you do. Also, if you haven't done so, like this episode, we appreciate all of that. And if you shared with a friend, we certainly would appreciate that. So with that, happy Friday, everybody. I hope there was some value in for you. And let me know below what resonated with you and what your ritual is. With that, thanks, and we see you next Friday.